This episode is brought to you by Michaela, winner of Harper's Bazaar Malaysia's Hot 100 Beauty Awards. Hey everyone, and welcome to Fam Real Talk TV, where we bring you the untold stories and many successes of women across Asia. My name is Khaja, and together with my partner Nisa Aris, we have co-founded FAM, which stands for Female Entrepreneurs Movement. Now, if you're watching, you'll be very happy to know that today's episode is also available as a podcast, and you can listen to us on Anchor, iTunes, as well as Google Podcast. And to kickstart Fam Real Talk TV on a very high note, I have here with me, I'm so honored to have our very first guest, is none other than Anita Kapoor. Hey Anita! Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Speaker, MC, performer. What else can you do, really? Wow.
Well, lazy person who likes to sit on the sofa, but there's not enough space for that in my Instagram profile.
But you know what? There's the two of us. I mean, relaxing, being here. But you know what? Thank you so much for being here. I mean, it's a pleasure and honor to have Anita as our very first guest. I think it's so poignant to actually have someone who's really made a huge impact in society. And I am excited to hear your story.
Thank you very much for having me. You know, we were having a chat before and we were talking about making that impact across Asia. So I think that Asia is actually, you know, it's an untapped market in that sense. There are so many women out there who are doing so many interesting things. As you said, there's so many untold stories.
Untold stories, yes. And then today is exactly that. We are here to hear your story. I'm curious because we have crossed paths before, we have met before, and this is the very first time you're here. And I would love to know, you know, and everyone's watching, how do you even get started, Anita? I mean, like, seriously, tell us everything.
I'm totally sweating now. It's like, okay. I always like to tell people that I started my career in the media by fluke. But to be honest, now when I look back, because it's been, you know, good 15, almost 20 years that I've been from the beginning to now, all of it was just stepping stones towards where I am today.
Yes, absolutely.
So I actually have also realized things about myself over these years. Like, I don't really do things in a particularly conventional way. I've never really been conscious of it, but I'm conscious of it now. But at the time, a lot of my decisions were like, hey, I think I could do that. Not really being conscious of what abilities I had or what skills or what gifts I had. I can only look at it now and say, I see. So I started by quitting a job that I really hated, which was really a long time ago. And I was doing, you know, admin, which is wonderful for people who are very organized, who like order, who like to have systems. I am not any of those people. But I enjoyed it because I got a chance to interact with a lot of people. And that was the first clue for me. I quit the job and then I decided I think I might be able to be a freelance writer. People usually do it the other way around. They go and work maybe for a magazine and then become a freelance writer. I did it the other way around. And I was just really fortunate to have people who also believed in me at the time, other women, and gave me my first freelance jobs. And that led to my first job, which was in the then version of Female magazine. And after that, of course, I went into Elle. And then after Elle, I went to Harper's Bazaar.
Oh, wow.
I think a lot of decisions I've made were a bit fluky. So, you know, fluky, It's a bit like, I have this kind of thing and I kind of feel like I do it and I have a natural ability, so just go for it. And as a result of that, you know, the first part of my career was defined by information. It was about understanding how to gain information, how to interview people, how to do, you know, things overnight, really. I mean, I was always really bad at deadlines, though. It was crazy. I want to apologize to all of my editors for never meeting a deadline ever. But I learned so much about myself in that. When it came to being on television, it was also another, oh, look, Discovery Channel are looking to find a host in Singapore. I think I can do that. And I went not expecting really to win. You know, and that then defined the next half of my career, which was really about thinking on my feet and understanding and listening and being able to draw further storytelling out of people, and also understanding how technically, you know, to present myself and be on camera, and that led me to also a really successful MC career. So that, of course, is kind of like the hardest part of all of this, because it's about being on stage, it's live, it's in the moment, there's no director yelling cut and you can redo. So that made me also understand about being in the moment and always being prepared. I prepare a lot. It may not seem that way, but I think the most effortless people have prepared a lot.
I'm sure,
And that kind of has led me through the years, and now we're sitting, you know, on the threshold of a new year. Depending on when you guys see this, it could be already a new year. Thinking about where to next and what to do next. And I'm very, very interested in being able to touch people in one way or another, and taking all of these things that I've learned from the various medias and putting them together in something that is cognizant and that reaches out and touches you somewhere in your heart.
And you know what, when I saw your Instagram and I saw, you know, storyteller, MC, actor, performer, do you have that in like a system where like a storyteller is most important to you first? Like, do you find that it's most important?
It is. You know, when you actually do your Instagram, you know, they ask you to put your bio, right? It's like the most stressful time of your life, because there's only that number of characters and you're trying to define everything. And I went through many iterations as I was going through the iterations of my own life. And really at the end of the day, I said, what is it that you are good at doing? I'm good at telling a story, and I'm good at getting a story. But more importantly, and that's where I am at this point, when I look at all of that, the amalgamation of that is what I'm really good at is being truthful and honest.
And authentic.
You know, that's become kind of a little bit of a bad word, because authenticity is one of those things where people are striving towards. I don't think you can actually strive for authenticity. You either are or you're not. And if you're not, you got to figure out what is it that blocks you.
And you know what? Social media has made it so impeccably stressful to even tell your stories. Like, you actually have to curate a certain story so that, you know, people are so pressured to get the number of likes, number of views. What are your thoughts about that? And I know that you started first without any social media. I mean, like the biggest media was like the television, and that was the only thing that we were dependent on. And then suddenly with the you know, influx of social media influencers and things like that, what are your thoughts about this, honestly?
I mean, it's really actually a blessing to have been able to straddle both these worlds, because I think it makes you so much better at being able to aggregate what to put out there. Honestly, in the times when it was just TV and there was no social media, it was more fulfilling in that sense. Not easier, but if people liked you, they liked you. Now everybody likes everything, so there really isn't a lot of ability to see what taste actually is, or whether people understand something in a long-term sense. They only seem to understand it in a short-term sense. And we're all guilty of that when we're tagging things and we're putting hashtags onto it, or when we're actually liking people's things. It's like, will I like this forever? You know, will I like this even in 4 hours from now or tomorrow? So the way I look at social media is I'm really very proud actually of just one thing, that all of my fans are all organic. I love that many of them actually followed me from the time before social media, then when there was just only Facebook and Twitter, and now Instagram as well, and they're making that transition. What I like to do on social media is I don't really want to try to present you just a version of myself. But if I was to look back over the years, I'm sure at some point I was presenting you a version of myself. But as I've grown as a human, as a woman, I no longer want to just give you a version of me. I want to give you all the dimensions, because we're not two and three-dimensional people, we're multidimensional. I want to show you that my life is not just all peaches and cream and it's all amazing and all, which is just, it's a bit rubbishy, because I think it puts an you know, a really huge pressure to perform. But why perform when you can actually give people the reality? You know, there's a nice way to do it. You know, it doesn't have to be pictures of you crying every single day, but if today you're crying, you know what we were talking earlier about authenticity. I mean, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be black and white. Life actually is kind of gray. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that. It's about giving people a flavor of who you are, and when you leave out one ingredient from the flavor, something is a little bit off, isn't it?
Yeah, and you know what, Anita, I mean, honestly, we have bad days. I have a bad day, whether you believe or not. I mean, we all like smiling and all that, but I have like bad days, and like, and just to share that, to share that with everyone on social media. Sometimes we pull back and go like, oh no, like if I were to share with everyone my bad day, no one's gonna give me that like, or you know, everyone's gonna think differently from me and things like that. And I think that's the disease. That's what's out there on social, right?
I think it's a fine line, though. I think it really depends on what is your intention. And everything that we put out there, what is your intention? Are you sharing your bad day because you know that there are other people out there who are feeling just as bad as you and you'll get all the likes? Or are you actually putting it out there because you really want to share with people, and that is about being authentic? I think the rest of it is kind of a bit bullshitty. Don't put it out there because you know that the flavor of the month right now is, for example, mental wellness. There's a lot of mental wellness stuff out there. Don't do that. Your intention is everything.
And how do you, Anita, get out of a bad day? I mean, I wanna hear from you. I know what I do. I'm always like, I would really literally hide in a cave and just read a book, and then shut my phone, and like no one's gonna text me, no clients, nothing like that. Buy the book, and that's it. That's how I stay, you know, by myself, be positive. Like, how do you get out of a bad day?
The biggest secret to getting out of a bad day is called airplane mode. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Airplane mode is it's a psychological instrument, because the moment you switch it off, it feels like, oh, you can just disengage. Detox yourself in that sense. But really, other things help. Meditation, prayer, spending time with a book. I think really what it is it's tuning out from one energy source and tuning into your energy source.
Right. I think like being like centered, being at ease with yourself makes you a better business owner, creative, you know, actor, performer, whatever. You know, I think it's so difficult for people to just be centered nowadays.
But it's also a little bit of this pop psychology thing. You know, you don't just read a Instagram photo advice thing and then tomorrow you're centered. It takes time and practice, just like anything. So I figure this: if we practice often and hard to be, you know, entrepreneurs and make decisions and be moms and dads and run businesses, and it's always a practice and getting it right and making mistakes and failing. It's the same thing when it comes to taking care of yourself. Self-care isn't just lighting a candle. Self-care is actually being able to tune things out over a period of time and to practice that so that it becomes part of how you take care of yourself.
Brilliantly said. I will remember this. Self-care is not just lighting up a candle. That's quotable quote. All right. I think I also have to ask you, I mean, of all the numerous interviews you have done throughout your entire career, 15 years worth, tell me your favorite story and favorite interview and why.
I have two, because I hate having just one choice. And I'm one of those people who's like, you mean I can't have more than one choice? I have two. One was when I was a writer. I was a beauty editor, and I interviewed Isabella Rossellini. I thought, wow, you know, how am I going to do this? I mean, this woman, and I felt like a girl in front of her, even though I was already, I think, 31 at the time. And wow, I just was. It wasn't about being enamored. It was about looking and being able to interview someone who was so comfortable with herself that she was able to share herself with me. That was huge. Until today, I remember that. And any little bit that I ever see about Isabella Rossellini, it's like, oh, I want, you know, I've met her. And it's wonderful that she's actually back with Lancôme as well. You know, they realized they really missed out on basically, you know, ostracizing her because of her age at that time, and times have changed. The other interview was very recently. I was at Honest Bee and I interviewed Sashi Chelea, you know, the winner of MasterChef Australia. What an incredible gentleman. And really, when I was standing next to him and interviewing him and talking to him, I just thought, this is the essence of being a Singaporean. Sashi has moved to another country and he has, you know, decided to give his family a different life, and that's absolutely his choice. But he has that charm and that charisma and that open-mindedness towards food, towards people, towards life, which I think is essentially Singaporean. And we all have that kind of kampong spirit, which is actually widespread across Asia. It's all of Southeast Asia has that feeling. And it made me feel so close to him, even though it was the first time that I was meeting him.
I mean, and when I watch him on like telly and like the food that he created, I'm like, I want that.
You fall in love with his food, but you also fall in love with the personality. And then for me, I'm always wary because you don't know, and we all know that a person can be one way in a show and another way on, you know, in real life. But I'm here to tell you, he is exactly the same person.
And you don't really get that. Like you get like sometimes when you watch on telly, like, you know, you get this person who's like that, all polished, right? And then like the offline personality is a totally different thing. I thought you were like that, but
Well, I look at it like this. I think times are changing. Persona is no longer something that people value, although it's valued a lot in social media. I think that's changing too. Times are changing, people are changing. Persona isn't important anymore. It's more important to be in touch with yourself, I think.
I think that's important. I think that's incredibly true. A lot of people forget that a lot, but I think we're changing all of that. Like being yourself is the new way to live our lives. Being yourself authentically and like being centered and all that kind of thing. I
agree with it, but it's a process, and I think it's not a snap decision. I'm going to be myself tomorrow. It's taken me 20 years to get to this point and to be able to connect all the dots and kind of say, and now in my 40s, it's like, I'm comfortable with who I am.
And the topic on being comfortable, how do you be so comfortable in your own skin and like and your recent campaign Lancome, right? And you were advocating that, being comfortable in your own skin and embracing that. And to be very honest, I find it difficult to even embrace my age. I mean, I'm like, oh my god, like I'm in 30s, I have to do that, I have to do that. There are like certain, like, you know, like measures of success, and go like, I don't think I am doing enough at my age. How do I even like, you know, how do you even like you know, embrace that age? And
I was in my 30s once, and I can tap into that feeling. It's a kind of an anxiety to be this thing. And I think it's not just about, oh, you know, guys want us to be this way. Actually, women are incredibly pressured by other women. And I don't think it's unnecessary. I've followed this for many, many years. I don't need to want to have it all. I just don't. I will have what I want and what works for me. Having everything is not a measure of my success if at the end of the day I'm anxious, or if I'm frustrated, or if I'm angry all the time. It's not a measure of success at all. The other thing about age is that I don't really think about it except when it comes time to embracing and accepting that there's a certain level of wisdom that comes with time. And for many years I would deny that I had any wisdom because it's just such a big word, isn't it? And it's like, but no, I embrace it now. Yes, I do have a certain level of wisdom, but that comes from embracing not just the good times and the good things that go out there, but it's embracing my failures, embracing the things that embarrass me, the things I'm ashamed about. And I think as women, we have to accept that we aren't perfect. We won't be put on this earth to be perfect. We aren't better than men. We're equal to men. They are not better than us. And when we start to embrace all of that, things really start to fall into place. To answer your question about I should, no, you shouldn't. You can if you want to.
That's true.
And you also have the choice to not. Without having to actually say to anyone, oh, these are my reasons why I didn't do this. Oh, does it make you more or less of a woman if you don't have kids, for example? Or does it make you more or less of an entrepreneur if you had no failures? Oh, come on. You know, if you're
not like that.
And if it's only this trajectory, does it mean that, oh my God, something bad's going to happen? No, maybe you got it all together. We're so individual. We're so individual. Trying to be tribal is what's killing us, and it's happening all over the world.
Okay, so I have the next question. I mean, what I want to know is, what do you do for fun? I mean, this is a serious question because we don't really spend time thinking about ourselves a lot. So what do you do, Anita, for fun?
I love actually walking around new neighborhoods, discovering things. Food is fun for me. I don't actually have any hobbies. I was looking at somebody with a great hobby the other day and feeling completely like, how come I don't have hobbies? But we're all such different personalities, right? I also love spending time on my own. And I think that's fun. I love, eating by myself and observing things. Sleep is fun. Sleep is wonderful.
I like
you know that moment where you're like, oh my God, I have no deadlines. I have nothing. Where's my bed? It's great. Massages. I love massages. I really love massages. When you find a really good masseuse, amazing. Spending time with the people that I love, whose energy and my energy, we can gel. My family, my closest friends. I think that's a lot of fun.
So if you could actually tell yourself,
the beach. The beach is fun. Water. Water. Yeah. Sorry, if I could tell myself.
Yeah, but you're right. The beach. I love it too. Yeah. I just remember like the beach too. So I'm just thinking, right? After all this, this conversation I have here is so insightful. I've never really known that you actually like to take walks by yourself and like those sort of things that we don't really see on telly. So if I can ask you this, what would you actually tell yourself, your 20-year-old self, about what you are today and like what you see for yourself doing in the pipeline? What would you tell your 20-year-old self?
Wow, I think I would tell my 20-year-old self that it's all going to be okay. It's going to work out one way or the other. I would also tell my 20-year-old self not to date some of the guys that I dated. My 20-year-old self, I would also tell her that you're enough.
That's important.
Yeah, you're enough. I think we do, our 20s are defined by not understanding who we are really and just going for it. We have so much energy and time and it's like, and our 30s become a moment of reckoning. The 30s is like, where do I take all of this? I've got all this, but I'm not there yet. But what do I do now? And I think a lot of people actually fall into depressions and anxieties and all of that in their 30s because you're neither here nor there. But they don't realize, I didn't until I got to my 40s and I was like, oh my God, this is fantastic. But it wasn't always fantastic. So it's really, don't look at your life as this linear trajectory. It's going to be waves and it's going to be undulating and it's going to be fun and it's going to be not fun. Embrace all of the emotions and the feelings and not try to control too many areas of your life. I would tell my 30-year-old self, stop trying to control things so much.
I should tell myself that. Just live life. Just live life. Just live it. Like not exist, right? And we should really live and experience everything, anytime, at anywhere possible. So that was good, Anita. I think the most coveted question. I see you on television a lot, and you look so confident. So tell me, Anita, how do you do it? How do you even master the art of like confidence?
Okay, everyone's different. When you see me on TV, you see me in my element. So I think the first thing is find your element. Trying to be like someone else or I want to act like that person or have that person's confidence is actually, it's debilitating because you're again trying to act like someone else. Know yourself a lot better. Do a little bit of work on yourself, whether it means to read books, whether it means to go deeper into your faith, whether it means that you are more spiritual, esoterically oriented, whether it means sitting still for a while. To understand the way your mind works is then to be able to find where your element is. Confidence to me is so much a state of mind. And by the way, I'm not always confident. I also allow certain things to scare me because I learn more when I'm a little scared. It's like, what is it about that I find so frightening? Some things, of course, just leave them alone. Don't go there. Other ways to build your confidence, exercise is really a wonderful thing because what it does is it changes your body chemistry, and I know that for a fact. And you aren't as anxious anymore. If you have issues, if you have things, work on those things. It isn't a switch. I don't just stand on stage and like, hello. It's work. It is. The other thing I do is that before I get on stage, or for example, before you're going for an interview, or before you're about to meet somebody, give yourself time to arrive to the thing and don't rush into it. I also do a lot of grounding for myself when I'm getting ready to go on stage, I take off my shoes and I put my feet on the ground. And I close my eyes and I remind myself of why I am here. A lot of times I think our confidence, not a lot of times, it is linked to your worthiness, your self-worth. Sometimes we're doing things that are making us scared, or they are doing things that we're not really that good at, but we're doing it because we think we should. Comes back to find what your element is. I love to be on stage, but sometimes I'm nervous, and I take that as a good thing. I'm like, okay, what am I here for? They're here to hear you, and they want you to do a good job, and they want you to control this room. How are you going to control this room? Through the energy of anxiety, or the energy of, I got this? How am I going to get to I got this? So I always like to go further and further back. How did you wake up today? Did you have breakfast? A lot of times, you know, we're feeling nervous or anxious because actually our blood sugars are completely out of whack. A lot of times it's really practical things. Biggest lessons I learned this year was that for me, meditation really, really works. It really calms the farm. You know, you got a farm going on in there. And we're all, to a certain extent, overthinkers because we've got so much going on. But I thought, well, what do I really want? What's the state of being that I want to be in? And how can I achieve it? And do I enjoy meditation? And I really do. So I found something that helps me to get to my element. And when that happens, everything, all my vibration of my body and my energy just goes, okay, now I can think better, and I can compartmentalize, and I can decide what to do with whatever it is that's the task at hand. So that really works for me.
So Anita, for the last question, I just have to ask, where will I see you in the next 5 years? What will you be doing? What are you hoping to do? I really want to know. We all have to know 5 years from now, what would you love to do?
Well, 5 years feels like a really long time. In the times that we're living in, I feel like you should ask me, what am I going to do in the next 5 months? So in the next 5 months, I hope to create my own platform and put it out there for you know, the court of public opinion. I would like to be able to be a better meditator. I would like to have more adventures. I would like to bring all of the experiences that 2018 brought me together, the travel, the transformation, the truth-telling, into some kind of semblance and some kind of a spirit that I can share with the world.
And are we going to expect that? Are you going to start something like a, tell us a bit more.
I'm so reluctant to say this to, you know, to the world, but I think it's about time to say that to the world. I'll have a couple of things. There'll be a podcast and there'll be a web series.
Wow, I'm excited for that. All right.
Working on those things. It's taken me a while to get there because it's really about finding what is your voice. And I think when you work for other people, you do other people's work, often it's their voice. All the shows that I've done are me, but it's also someone else's creative output. Now it's my creative output, and it's probably the most frightening, amazing, wonderful thing that could ever happen.
I'm gonna tune in.
You better.
I'm gonna, like, subscribe. All right. So you can catch Anita on her platform that's coming up. She's starting a podcast and a web series, so we're all gonna subscribe. But of course, Anita is also on Instagram, and where else can find you on Facebook as well, right?
Absolutely, Instagram and Facebook under my name.
Everyone? Like,
I do reply to actually everyone. If as long as you're not being cheeky, I will reply to you. Or telling me that you want to date me, because it's probably not going to happen. I love it. I love the interaction. Generally, I feel I've been very blessed with fans who love interacting with me. Currently, a couple of my shows are airing in South America. And I have the best South American fans who speak to me in Spanish all the time. And I love that there's a translation button, and then I would reply to them in some little broken Spanish here and there, or Portuguese in Brazil. It's a wonderful feeling to know that people connected to you when they watched a show that you did.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you, Anita. But before we go, we're going to play a little game. Oh, no. Oh, gosh. I know, right? I know. We're going to play a little game, right?
I did have a sip of tea. I prepared for this.
Okay, so we're going to play a little game where I want to see how fast or how quick thinking Anita is. And that game is basically, I'll ask you, I'll just say one word, and you have to tell me what is the first thing that comes to your mind.
It's probably like a rude word. I will try to read it.
It happens to all of us. Trust me. Yeah. All right. Are you ready? Okay, first word. Are you ready? Okay, are you ready? Are you ready? Okay.
I am ready.
All right, first word. Vanilla.
Ice cream.
Trump.
Oh God.
Music.
Oh my God. Am I supposed to do it in a, okay, am I allowed to think about it? Music? I have so many things to say about music. Music, bliss.
Oh, that's nice. Beach.
Time out.
Book.
New world.
Love.
Everything.
That's so beautiful. Family.
My heart.
Anita.
Work in progress.
Aww, that is so true, Anita. Thank you so much for being our first guest on Fam Real Talk TV. It's a pleasure to have you, honestly. And of course, we can always catch us again on a podcast. Don't forget, we are here as a podcast channel as well, and that's on Anchor FM, Google Podcasts, and iTunes. I have to thank Anita once again.
And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. You got to watch these guys. Bella and her team are doing an amazing job. Real force to be reckoned with. All the advice I have to give you is just this. Drink a lot of water, breathe, and go to the beach.
So that's drinking lots of water, going to the beach, and breathing. All those things I have to do right now. All right, guys. Thank you so much for catching our first episode of Fam Real Talk TV, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. Beautiful. I don't know how you stay so young, and I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to look like all these people?
Of course you will.
Oh my God.
Of course you will. It's your state of mind.